here we are, back again with your latest installment of Last Week in Real Estate. I'm John Smedley. This week, we continue in an ongoing look at the fears people have about a potential housing crash looming over our heads like it's the next Saw movie. And similarly, those people would have you believe it will end in a great deal of disappointment and leave a bloody mess. However, when you take a close look at the information we have discussed over the last several weeks, it's hard to see exactly what will lead to the next demise of the real estate industry. Feel free to check out the links to those episodes below and make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on new episodes in weeks to come. Last week, we dove into 4 key factors that impact housing markets: supply and demand, interest rates, policy decisions, and jobs. And this week, we're going to go over some additional issues to consider about whether or not a housing bubble actually exists and if it may burst anytime soon. For us to do this properly, we'll have to get down and nerdy with some numbers, so hang tight. First, let's hop into the DeLorean to 2007, when the beginning stages of the housing market collapse would take place, and understand exactly what happened. The main issue during this time was subprime loans and over-speculation of the market. Many lenders would loan money to borrowers who were really not good candidates for a home loan, and they did this using products that largely relied upon borrowers' ability to refinance into a more permanent loan structure down the road. This was done under the assumption that home loans continue to increase, or home values rather, would continue to increase at a fairly aggressive rate as they did in the early 2000s. Now, a person saying this ended poorly is the equivalent of the Black Knight saying that he had just a flesh wound. Returning to today's market, we don't really have the same type of speculative lending, and this should provide us with a degree of comfort. In reality, obtaining a home loan is still a challenge for many Americans, and regulations are still in place that are a result of the crisis in 2007. If you don't believe me, go ask somebody who recently purchased a home about all of the documentation that's going to be needed whenever they're buying. You have to have 2 years of tax returns, 2 years of W-2s, or if you're self-employed, good luck with that. You need 2 years of 1099s, where they're going to consider your income spread out over the 2 years. You also need to have bank statements and different types of documentation that are needed. Also, hey, here's another fun fact. If the bank notices large deposits or large withdrawals, you'll need to provide written statements as to what those things are, just in case you're Scarface or something. So, looking back at what happened, we can now focus on what things look like now in 2021. Right now, there's a group of people that would have us believe that the housing market is about to spontaneously combust. And the main reason for this appears to be the rapid increase in home values, and in fairness, 2020 and so far in 2021 have seen some insane growth in values year over year. Many view this as unsustainable, and wait for it, I agree with them. That really makes me want to have a drink just to watch the taste of that out of my mouth. But it's not realistic for a healthy housing market to continue experiencing double-digit value increases long term. However, this does not mean that the housing market is going to get its soul crushed. In the view of many housing experts, this will lead to the market pulling back to the expected growth that is at more of a moderate pace of increasing values, and not insane paces of increasing values. So take a moment to reflect on that. Some people believe that because home values may cost you 10 to 12% more this year than last, that you need to wait for a slowdown to occur. So why not wait until 2023, where we may experience up to 15% increases this year, followed by a more moderate growth in 2022. With all due respect to those people, and remember I said that, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Or as we say in Texas, bless their hearts. And it's vital to know why that level of idiocy is so deserving of a good throat punching. First, if you decide to wait until things slow down, that does not equate to prices coming down. As we've discussed, it is highly likely for prices to continue going up at a more moderate pace. What you would be saying is, I don't like how much more homes cost this year, so I'm going to pay more in the next year or two. And if you don't like the fact that the house that was $400,000 last year now costs between $450,000 and $460,000 this year, why in the hell would you want to pay $488,000 next year? Or, better yet, well over $500,000 in 2023. So it's simply counterintuitive to wait in real estate. Second, while these prices are going up, the cost over the lifetime of the loan will be increasing as well. While we currently enjoy around 3% interest rates, this is expected to change as we move through the year and most certainly over the next 2 years. Using our previous example of the $450,000 home, let's be generous, at a 3% rate and 5% down 30-year conventional loan, you would have a principal and interest payment around $1,800. Now, go ahead and wait until next summer in 2022, where that home is now about $488,000 if you take into account only moderate growth. If you're lucky, and interest rates on the same loan could be around 4%. So you would now be paying a principal and interest payment around $2,210 for the exact same home. So for you math majors out there, your payment would almost be 23% higher and cost you about $5,000 more every single year. If this financial junk punch is something that you would sign up for, I honestly don't know how to help you. Okay, so for those of you that made it this far, I have great news. The numeric beatdown is over. And all the information at this point is to highlight the dangers of waiting to buy a home, and also the dangers of waiting for a move up. There are many people in this market that have purchased homes over the last 3, 4, 5 years. And the reality is if you're looking at moving up in the next year or two, it may be worth considering a move now, because in the future, it's only going to cost you more money. Now, there are some that point to the number of homes that are currently in forbearance as the warning sign of things to come and a possible onslaught of foreclosures that may happen as a result. To start, there is good news in that the ban on foreclosures has been extended by the current administration until June 2021. And there are indications that the ultimate goal is to extend that ban until 2022. There's also an extension for the timeframe that homeowners are allowed to enroll in forbearance, and that has extended to June as well. This is great for those that have struggled to regain employment and for small business owners who suffered during the pandemic. In addition, the aforementioned price increases have created some cushion for those in forbearance and could provide an opportunity for many of those folks to avoid foreclosures when the bans finally expire. So if you went into forbearance at the start of the pandemic, in the Dallas-Fort Worth market area, you should have plenty of equity to be able to sell your home and not be at risk for a short sale or worse, a foreclosure. And that is huge. Obviously, the sheer number of homes in forbearance can be overwhelming at 2.7 million households. But that number is actually steadily decreased over the last several months. And as different market areas open up and jobs begin to come back, many of these owners will hopefully have the opportunity to avoid foreclosure through working out arrangements with their lender or potentially looking into the opportunity of selling their home. So I'm not sure about you, but with all of that math, I could use a nice drink to wash that down. And what better way to do that than with our featured listing, 1792 Foolproof. This distillery is located in Bardstown, Kentucky, and this bourbon actually won 2020 Whiskey of the Year, according to Jim Murray's Whiskey Bible. At 125 proof, this is guaranteed to eliminate the pain of listening to all of the number crunching we've just done for the last several minutes. So if you find this bottle, grab it immediately. From something amazing to something really confusing, here we have our What the of the Week. Now, outside of the fact that it looked like Chip and JoJo yacked all over this wall and it magically turned to shiplap, this stairway to a finished out attic space doesn't seem very interested in having handrails to keep you safe from falling all over the place. Now, this admittedly has some really cool use of space for a 900 square foot home, but, and this is like a Kim Kardashian size butt, who the hell wants to climb up and down a staircase that doesn't have rails on a consistent basis? This attic would be really cool for a poker room so long as sobriety was a requirement. Otherwise, you're left with a bunch of drunk people laying all over the middle of your only hallway with broken arms and broken legs. So as a reminder, we'd love for you to jump in on the fun and share your crazy real estate photos. So make sure to like and subscribe down below and check out new episodes each and every week. I'm John Smedley, and that's it for this episode of Last Week in Real Estate. Take care.